Let's get ready to rumble!
Damn, my brethren's on his way to the South Bronx. His nephew got bucked in his head and murdered, man. My brethren's sister is just in pieces. So he just flew off on a plane. Yeah, I mean, let's hope what? To resolve what? He's dead. Yeah, I mean. I felt kind of bad because I felt relieved it wasn't one of his nephews I used to block with when he was over here. And we used to do music together. I felt kind of bad for thinking that. But let's just hope he can hold the family together in some kind of semblance of sanity. And let's get on with his boxing thing. Now, for Carl Froch to be recognized as this great fighter, as he keeps saying he is, yeah? For him to overtake, and this is my personal bias here, people like Nigel Benton, Lennox Lewis, Lloyd Hunnigan, Joe Calzaghe, to be the greatest fighter from out of the United Kingdom in, let's say, the last 20 or 25 years. You can't choose which opponents you're going to fight to make you great. You can't do that. The rankings and the resumes tell you, obviously, you can't do that. Now, if you was beaten by Andre Ward and he dominated you, outpointed you convincingly, and then post-fight you're saying, well, I'm not going to fight him again because he's a boring fighter. I don't like the way he fights. I don't like Muhammad Ali. I don't like the way he fights. That's cool. I've got personal bias myself. That's cool. I've got no problem with that at all. You can say that till the cows come home. I've got no problem with that. But, you say you're a great fighter, a great boxer, a great boxer. Let's take away the word fighter. We keep saying fighter, but sometimes it's important that we realize every time you say fighter, you should have said boxer. Boxer. You want to be a great boxer, or you think you are a great boxer. So that means you have to be able to defeat every style that's contesting you for that mantle of greatness. Let me say that better. You have to be able to defeat that style that you deem as inferior, but yet it's besting you in the pound-for-pound rankings. And you keep reiterating that. If you say anything derogatory about Andre Ward, it's going to come across to boxing fans and sports fans that you're bitter as he's beat you already. Well, the answer to that is yes. Yes, 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 yes. You're a grown man. I've met you. You're a sensible man as well. Why would you even make such a stupid comment when the answer is yes, 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 you're bitter. Any other point you think you're making is irrelevant and it makes no sense. Yes, you're bitter. Stop trying to say it like you can draw another meaning out of it for it to resonate with boxing fans that you've got a point. No, you said it yourself. You asked yourself the question and you omitted the answer. Yes, you're bitter. Yes, you're bitter. No matter how tedious a job you're trying to convince everybody it is fighting Andre Ward, that's what you sign up for when you're a boxer at championship level, right? Surely. You can't just want to fight styles that compliment you. Then it wouldn't make sense because you'll be in your comfort zone every fight. I mean, surely giving yourself an accolade as a great and getting any self-satisfaction and pride out of being a boxer would be to say, yeah, I prevailed against counter-punchers. I was able to cut down the ring on movers. I was able to nullify big punches. I was able to take away fighters who had great jabs and take away the jabs. I was able to defeat sluggers. That sounds like a great to me. I mean, you say you don't like Muhammad Ali. Go check his resume. He defeated all of them styles. Although he did have trouble with boxers. To a degree. People like Jimmy Young and Ken Norton, counterpunchers. You see, popularity should be the last category or criteria that you wanted to pick opponents. Like, I'm a football fan, you know what I mean? I'm a football fan. I never once heard Zinedine Zidane, Diego Maradona, or Pele. I never heard them say shit like, well, I don't want to play Chelsea or I don't want to play the Italians because they're too defensive minded. It's going to be a boring match for the crowd. I've never heard a football manager like Alex Ferguson say, well, we're not going to play Chelsea or Barcelona because they're using the sweeper system. And I don't think the crowd will be too impressed watching us trying to break down their defensive construct. I've never heard it. I never heard football fans say, oh, we hate watching the Italians trying to catch teams on the break, trying to defend and catch teams on the break. I never hear football fans say that because, and some people don't like the Italians, the way they defend and catch you on the break. But for the most part of knowledgeable football fans, there's a grudging admiration for the way they're able to nullify your midfield and your attack, and then they'll just break at the other end and fuck you up. Like, back in the days, they used to show a lot of snooker on television. A whole heap. They don't show so much these days. But, okay, you have two contrasting players. You have Jimmy White, the whirlwind, I think his nickname was. And you had Terry Griffiths, right? Now, Jimmy White used to come on the table, hardly taking a breath between the shots. And then you had Terry Griffiths, steady and slow. So if he was playing Jimmy White, for instance, he might frustrate Jimmy by slowing the pace down of the game. Because Terry was on some stroll around the table shit. You know what I mean? I mean, Terry wasn't rushing for no one. Terry would bend down to take the shot, then he'll come back up, and you see him come up and look at the scoreboard, start putting the chalk on the cue and everything. Yeah, I mean, and he'd take his time. And a lot of people, I don't know, I think some of the snooker fans had a bit of Carl Froch fans syndrome, where they'd say, oh, Terry Griffiths is boring, man, he plays too slow. But to me, I didn't find it boring because isn't it the quality of the shots? That's the way I see it. I never got that. But for the most part, most sports accept that, yeah, you get firebrands and then you get other people who deconstruct and take their time. How come boxing is one of the only sports that have so many fans that don't recognize that? How comes these criteria never show up in other sports? How comes? I don't get it. It's like you get the Harlem Globetrotters and you get the NBA. Now, when I was a kid, and to be honest, if they was to put it back on the television now, in fact, when I finish this video, I might well go on YouTube and go look at some Harlem Globetrotters because it is brilliant to watch. It is brilliant. But them guys used to spin the ball on their fingers, like they transfer the ball from one finger, from pinky to index to thumb. And you're thinking, what the fuck? Dribbling the ball between his legs at rapid speeds. And the Harlem Globetrotters are not the only team who do them exhibitions. I can't remember who else I saw. But they done this alley-oop, and it was just like, what the hell? I have to try and, oh man, that shit was just sick. And then you get things like the slam dunk competitions, and the dunks are just spectacular. And then you get the NBA, which is where it's just the meat and bones. But these are the guys who play week in and week out and win championships. And let me tell you the difference between a lot of these guys. A lot of the dunkers, from what I remember, I'm not even sure if some of them were in the NBA. I think a lot of them wasn't in the NBA. And the difference between the Dunkers and the Harlem Globetrotter-esque type teams who do exhibition basketball is, could the Dunkers or the Harlem Globetrotters play in the NBA? Who knows? Maybe if some of them got the break and they were trained properly, they could. I'm not sure. But I bet you any money that Jordan, Olajuwon, Magic Johnson, LeBron, Kobe, Shaq, and all them guys, they could stop playing NBA today, yeah, and just practice tricks, and they could do what them guys are doing. That's the sad truth. It's the sad truth. Look at Floyd Mayweather against Miguel Cotto. Now, I don't believe Floyd when he said he wanted to give the crowd a pleasing fight. I don't think his legs are shot, but his legs are not the same as they were in the Corrales fight. It's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. Yeah? But regardless, even without using his legs, he was able to fight like a flat-footed slugger and succeed. But could a flat-footed slugger do what Floyd does? Could he use his legs, use his reflexes, and pick his shots and be successful? Yes, there are cases when sluggers can do that, like Marco Antonio Barrera. After he got knocked out by Junior Jones, he started getting his thinking cap on because he was just a vicious slugger before that. He was just vicious. I saw some of his early fight. It was horrible to watch him fight. Horrible for the opposition because he was just like the Terminator. He was just vicious. Even when Junior Jones knocked him out, I was scared for Junior Jones because the man's just vicious. You know what I mean? He's just a vicious man. And like, just the intensity he was coming at Jones. But yeah, he more or less turned his game around from being a brawler to a boxer type brawler. But he's a rarity. Look at Ali in the 60s when he beat Liston, Zora Foley, Cleveland Williams, Ernie Terrell, Floyd Patterson, George Chuvalo. The man barely got hit. Barely got hit. Yeah? He didn't even keep his hands up because his feet were so fast. But after the war shit and all that bullshit there, the politics, when he came back, he was a lot heavier. And he realized he just couldn't do what he did in the 60s, in the 70s. But yet, he was able to beat Ken Norton, Oscar Bonavena, George Foreman. The third fight with Joe Frazier, he beat Frazier twice. The second fight, he did utilize more boxing. And these are some of his most eulogized fights. And he won them by staying in the pocket. Look at Sugar Ray Leonard, the first fight with Duran, where he foolishly let Duran goad him into some machismo shit. He lost the fight on points, but it was very close. Like, that is Duran's greatest moment. But Leonard ran him close. But it was Duran's night. The second fight, where Leonard decided to stick to his boxing, he pissed all over Duran. Here's my argument. If you're going to pick B-list or C-list fighters over A-list fighters because you just don't like the A-list fighters for whatever reasons, they're too cocky, you don't like how they fight, and you're picking the C and B-list fighters because they come from the same country as you or whatever, or something stupid. What you have to recognize is the reason why your C-list or B-list sluggers are known as crowd-pleasing fighters are because they're less technically efficient. And the less technically efficient you are, the more you get hit. The more you embrace that style of fighting, then you will become defined as a slugger. That's the facts, yeah? If you're going to elevate them fighters and say, well, I'd rather watch them guys. Well, if it's a toe-to-toe battle, I'd rather watch Apollo Creed versus Rocky Balboa. I'd rather watch Ivan Drago and them guys. Or maybe I'll watch the film Penitentiary because some of the punches in that film were just incredible. Like when he fought, was it the Irish guy, and his face was swollen up. I'd rather watch them films. Them films are better toe-to-toe battles than that. You see, I'm being flippant now. But that's what happens when you don't play shit straight down the line. You get chaos from order. Everything was in order. You brought chaos. And now I'm just turning the whole place into a madhouse. I'm looking at your Ward and Gatti criteria that you seem to have. And I'm saying, well, okay, I think Creed and Balboa was a better toe-to-toe fight. Why not? Why not? I mean, they've got Stallone in the Boxing Hall of Fame already, so why not? Let's just play out the parody all the way. In fact, we might have to go to Ring Magazine and see what boxing films there were this year and see if they can contend for Fight of the Year. I even got a pound for pound. I put Balboa at number 1, Clubber Lang at 2, Ivan Drago at 3, Apollo Creed at 4, Tommy Gunn at 5, and the last Rocky was so bad with Antonio Tarver. I don't think Mason Dixon even gets an honorable mention. That was the worst Rocky. Shut it down now. Shut it down. You know what I mean? I wonder what Jim Lampley and Larry Merchant will have to say about that. Now, let me reiterate this point. This video is neither for or against any certain style. This video is not against toe-to-toe boxing or slugging. Example, Joe Frazier versus George Foreman. 2 sluggers, right? 2 sluggers. But they weren't C-list or B-list sluggers. They were A-list sluggers. Number 1 contender and undisputed champion. I have no problem with that. Who's got a problem with that? That's elite level boxing. This is not some elitist video. It is what it is. It's the truth. It's like a lot of these pop singers. I don't think it's fair to say, well, he can't sing as good as someone like Donny Hathaway. He's a pop star. His job is not the same criteria. It's disposable music. They're not just selling music. They're selling an image to a certain demographic of teenage girls or teenage boys, depending if it's a rapper or a girl selling to whatever market. So when people say, oh, it should be more on talent. No, it shouldn't be. It's a package. No, it shouldn't be. Their songs are polished up with auto-tunes. They've also got modules which can straighten out the bum notes you sing. It's got nothing to do with you being a purist singer. And to me, I've got no problems. You shouldn't fuck with it. That's what it is. If you want to be an authentic singer, you have to find your market. The jazz market, the more sophisticated market, or opera, where it's all about the voice. If you go into the pop industry, and let's say you're an 18-year-old boy, and you've got this big beer belly, but you can sing like an angel, and the labels say, well, we just can't market your image. You're spotty, you're fat, I mean, this and that, you just... And the boy goes away crying, saying, oh, this is fucked up, but I sing a lot better than the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC. I sing a lot better than them. It's not about that. You have to bring them a package. And to me, I've got no problem with it. I don't listen to that music, but I've got no problem with the concept of it. The difference with me not listening to that pop music and listening to the more authentic music where it's all about the voice, the difference between me dismissing the pop music, who are selling the most, they're the most successful, is because even though they're selling the most, music is subjective. Boxing isn't like music because professional boxing is professional boxing. With music, you get pop music, you get hip hop, you get jazz, you get reggae, you get electro, you get grime, you get garage, you get house. You get where I'm going with this. So you choose what musics you like. You might like all of them. You might only like 2 or 3 of them, or even 1. But music is not as simple to rank or categorize who is the best. There is only one model of professional boxing. The fighters who dominate the highest ranked opposition have to be given their due. It's as simple as that. The thing that a lot of people are not getting. This is not an argument for safety first boxing. This is not an argument for fancy Dans or all your preconceived ideas. This is truth, righteousness, and fairness, and justice. That's all this is. I don't care if you're a slugger. If you've left a trail of bodies in your wake of all different styles and number one contenders, Mantadories, and other champions that you've dismantled, you deserve your due. This is not a color argument. This video is standing up for the Lucas Matisses who have got robbed in fights. It's standing up for the Richard Abrils too. This is not a color argument. This is not a style argument. This is not a style argument. And I think that's the point some of you guys are missing. It just happens to be that dudes like Mayweather and Hopkins and Ward, the Pernell Whitakers, have had the better resumes and they have dominated top-notch competition a lot more effectively than a lot of their peers who are getting undue credit and praise from television networks and a lot of fans on websites, on the YouTube community, and that's the bottom line. And I can't be mad at fighters like Canelo Alvarez for getting his $2 million purse against a junior lightweight, yeah, who's already been beaten by Jesse Vargas, who hasn't proved himself in boxing yet. His biggest victory was against Victor Ortiz, a fighter with a fragile track record. Cito Lopez hasn't even proved himself in the light middleweight rankings. He hasn't really proved himself in the welterweight rankings. He's got the one victory against Ortiz. That doesn't validate Canelo getting a $2 million purse. It just doesn't. Canelo is not on no pound for pound list. And look, you get what you can negotiate for. But that is why there is an argument, possibly, for a wage cap on boxing. I'm serious. If a wage cap is not being discussed, then Canelo can keep defending against no marks and making $2 million purses. I wonder if Andre Ward, who's just been crowned the pound for pound best by established publications, I wonder if he got 2 million, because Chad Dawson only got 600,000. No matter what Chavez Jr. is getting paid, he's getting paid far too much on Saturday. Far too much, yeah? The guy didn't win his title in the ring properly, right? He done a lot of other fuckeries and shit like that. He hasn't beat no top rank contenders. Andy Lee, to me, was not top rank. I mean, all I remember Andy Lee for is getting beaten by Brian Vera. I don't think Andy Lee was no great shakes, really and truly, in my opinion. You know, I try not to hate Chavez, but when I think about shit like he got an absolute gift against Carlos Molina, another guy who people justify his bad breaks by his fighting style, it's like I was going back and forth with someone about Carlos Molina. He needs to score more KOs. He's not aggressive enough. He doesn't throw enough punches. And I said, okay, that's your opinion because that's the style of fighting you want to see. But does what you're saying justify the fact that he has got robbed on many occasions in the ring? No, you don't understand. It's all about entertainment. He doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. And he wouldn't answer the question because basically he's not dealing with no righteousness. He's not dealing with justice. It's sad because people ain't taking into account how much work Molina has had to put into his craft, you know, to do what he does, all what he sacrificed. And if a lot of the boxers had the attitudes of the guy I was going back and forth with and that kind of mentality, boxing would be fucked. It would probably be extinct like the fucking dinosaurs. And look, dismiss what I said about a wage cap. It's unworkable. It's unworkable. But in my opinion, Canelo, Chavez Jr. don't deserve big purses. I just can't say it no more plainer than that. And look, I've got no problems. If you've got the machine behind you and you can get money out of it, you get the money. But the thing is that when B-list fighters take big purses out of the game, it tends to hype up the situation. Their fans are elevating them to levels which their fistic endeavors do not deserve them to be mentioned in. The television networks start getting amped up, giving them more due than what they're worth. The whole shit is just a farce. It's just a farce. And to me, boxing is a hot sport right now. Especially after watching this weekend. Boxing is a hot, hot sport. And if it's going to maintain the momentum, a lot of shit needs to be cleaned up. Because some of it is just foul and it stinks. When you think of how long Alusigan had to wait for his title shot. But the fact that Canelo has held the title so long and he hasn't fought no one near as hard as fucking Lucas Matisse. No one! I know it's two different divisions. I'm just talking about the equivalence in the strength of the opposition. That's all I'm dealing with. Same with Chavez. It's ridiculous. I wonder how much Lucas Matisse got for taking on that difficult challenge that the likes of Morales and Garcia didn't want to take on. Didn't want to take on. And you can see why. I bet Matisse didn't get much for that. When somebody like Canelo gets the title, he shouldn't just be able to pick opponents. He should be given a list of people who he can fight. Let's say Canelo's defending his title. If he's the WBC champion, let's say his top 5 contenders are Erislandy Lara, number 1. Vanis Marta Rosen, number 2. Carlos Molina, number 3. James Kirkland, number 4. Alfredo Angulo, number 5. The first fight that should be spoken about is the Erislandy Lara fight. But check this out. The fight doesn't actually have to be made, but they have to make negotiations. They have to make negotiations for this system to work. So check this out. And a ballpark figure has to be made. Let's say 5 million. Let's say 5 million for Canelo, right? I'm not sure what Lara's would be yet. But let's say 5 million for Canelo. And for some reason, negotiations stall and they break down. So that fight is off the table. But 5 million is the figure that is set in motion. So now he's looking to go down the list. He goes to Vanis Marta Rosen. He can't get 5 million for Marta Rosen because Lara was 5 million. And Marta Rosen is number 2. So that is 4 million or 3 million. Carlos Molina is 1 million. Alfredo Angulo is 600,000. And then he decides he's not going to fight nobody in the top 10. He's going to take on Cito Lopez. But Lopez is not ranked. He's not ranked. Yeah? So, okay, we're not going to stop you from fighting him. But while you got this belt, you can't make more than 50,000, 100,000 or whatever figure they come to. The only way you can make money is if you fight a ranked contender. Yeah? That's the only way, is if you fight a ranked contender. Or if you fight somebody with a belt from another body. Yeah? And I ain't talking about no IBO or WBF or any, you know what I mean? It's got to be one of the 4. Let's say WBA, WBC, WBO, IBF. And that's it. And look, this is not an oppressive system. If you want to opt out, just give up the belt. Give up the belt, and then you can have a non-title fight with Cito Lopez for 2 million. Because now you're independent. You can negotiate for $100 million, and nobody cares. Because you're not parading around like you're a legitimate world champion, fighting junior welterweights who haven't even proven themselves at junior welterweight. That's all we care about. So you can't fake your resume no more. And let's see how well you do without no belt, trying to negotiate a £2 million purse for yourself against Cito Lopez. Let's see how well you do. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Love to hear your suggestions and opinions. Drop a comment and let me know what you think. Peace out.